Hello, Aaron.
How you doing?
Good. What's your full name?
Aaron Alexander Palmer.
And what country are you from, or what's your background?
Well, I was born in Canada. My mom is Guyanese, West Indian, and then my dad is Jamaican.
Cool. So, why'd you choose to study at American college?
The reason I'm at American college is because I wanted to play baseball, competitive baseball, and baseball in college is a lot more competitive in the United States than it is in Canada.
Have you found any differences between school here and school back in Canada?
No differences.
Do you belong to any campus organizations or communities around campus besides the baseball team?
No, I do not.
What's your favorite class this semester?
Class, I would have to say design and resistance training programs. With playing baseball, you do a lot of weightlifting, and it's kind of nice to know what's going on.
Right. And what year do you expect to graduate?
2015,
This
this year.
year?
Yeah.
Nice. And what are your plans after university?
After university, I want to go to grad school for occupational therapy.
Cool. How long have you been here in the U.S.?
I've been in the U.S. for 4 years now, so this is my 4th year.
And have you returned home to visit much?
Well, my first 2 years here, I was all the way in Minnesota, so I only went home during Christmas break, and now here in Michigan, I'm only 4 hours away from home, so I go home a little bit more often.
When you arrived in the States, what was the first thing you noticed?
Just growing up, and you've always noticed how different the prices were. The cost of living is a lot cheaper here than it is back home in Canada.
So what would you say your favorite thing about America is?
My favorite thing would have to be the prices. There's nothing better than coming over and everything's cheaper.
Right. And what would be your least favorite thing about America?
Least favorite? That's a good one. I would have to say just that there's a lot of times where you can't do certain things just because you're not American. So Americans can come over to Canada, and it's a lot easier for them to be able to work or be able to go somewhere to live. But Canadians, when we come over, we have to go through a lot more processes. So.
Okay. Have you noticed had any funny or strange experiences in America that you can recall?
One thing that I experienced that was a lot different that I've never experienced was just racism. You definitely see racism a lot more in America than you do in Canada.
Have you ever been to the States before you moved here for good?
Yes, I used to come here about twice a year for baseball tournaments.
Yeah. And have you been anywhere else in the world?
I've been in Jamaica, and that's about it because I have family there.
Yeah. Are you a native English speaker?
Yeah.
Do you know any other languages?
Well, in Canada, the second language is French, and from kindergarten all the way up until grade 8, I took what's called French immersion. So it's where you take almost every class in French. So like science was in French, social studies was in French, history is in French. So I'm pretty good with French, but it was a little difficult. So I dropped out of French immersion going into high school.
Oh yeah. Do you find it? Have you found using French helpful at all? Like, have you experienced anything?
No, I was always told that it would help to know French and it would help build your resume, but I haven't encountered that yet.
Yeah. If you could tell Americans one thing about your culture, either of the three, what would it be?
If I was to tell them about just Canada, I would tell them like how diverse it is. You go to Canada and you see a lot of different cultures, and you get to know a little bit about a lot of different cultures.
Mm-hmm. What do you miss most about your home country?
My home country.
Canada.
Yeah, yeah. So, Canada and America are not really that different. So, I mean, if there's anything I miss from being home, it's just being home and my mother taking care of me.
Right. So do you ever get homesick if you miss your family and stuff?
I'm an only child, so I was always a little bit more independent, and my parents always wanted to be a little bit more independent. So, I don't necessarily get homesick. It's nice to have, your mom cooking for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do all that laundry and stuff.
Have you faced any challenges as part of your experience being in the U.S.?
One of the biggest challenges might have been actually with school. I needed a language, and they wanted me to take Spanish. And I don't know any Spanish, and people are always like, "Oh yeah, French and Spanish are similar." But I sat in a Spanish class for one day, and I struggled. I didn't really understand what was going on, and I was thinking to myself, "This is going to be real hard." And luckily, they said, if you can find somewhere else to take French, take French. So that worked out. But at first, it would have been real difficult taking Spanish.
Right. All right. Is there you want to tell me anything interesting about your family or friends back home that you've talked about a little bit?
Well, like my family, so like I said, my dad's from Jamaica, my mom's from Guyana, so I'm considered mixed. And back home you see a lot of that. You see a lot of different cultures. A lot of kids, like you see Jamaicans and Polish, you'll see a little bit of everything. And you actually, in Toronto, it's you kind of don't live that like a Canadian lifestyle. Like there's parts in Toronto, they have like a little Jamaica, a little Italy, a Chinatown, a Greek town. So people still bring over their culture. So I lived a lot of the West Indian culture. So
Right. That's pretty cool. All right. Do you belong to any community or church-related groups here or back home?
no.
No. Do you have any other relatives in the United States?
Relatives, I have, aunts and uncles all over. They're mainly in Chicago and New York. So my dad's side of the family, a lot of them are in Chicago, and then my mom's side of the family, a lot of them are in New York.
Huh. So we've learned a lot about your hometown. What was it like growing up there?
Like I said,
Or like, how was your high school experience?
my high school experience, in Toronto, there's so many high schools. There's the high school I went to, and then 5 minutes one way there's another high school. 5 minutes another way there's another high school. There's a bunch of high schools, and a bunch of students that go to high school. So you get to meet a lot of people, and just one thing that I really noticed is that I didn't really I more take away from it now than I did before, but you really just notice how diverse it is, like how much different people you get to see. Like when you come here, it's all people really see is black or white, and then when you're over there, it's more culture.
So how often do you keep in touch with your family back home through email or phone calls or etc.?
Almost every day, just check up, to see how we're doing.
Do you have a favorite food from either your mom's side or dad's side that's kind of different to someone like me?
Yeah, so on my mom's side, my favorite food would have to be, it's called roti and curry. So you would think roti just looked like a little pita bread, but to me it's a lot more than just pita bread. It's and it is different than pita bread. And then curry chicken. I'm sure you've heard of curry chicken. And then on my dad's side, food-wise, I would have to say, it would have to be stewed chicken. So that's just it's chicken, bunch of spices, and then rice and peas with that.
Besides baseball, do you play any other sports, or what kinds of things do you like to do in your spare time?
I also play basketball. I grew up playing a lot of basketball. On my spare time, I love music. I like listening to music, watching TV. You know, I don't mind playing little video games here and there too.
Yeah. Have you made a lot of friends here in America?
Oh yeah. So one thing that that I would have to say is I've some of my best friends now are in America. You know, because you know a lot of people make a lot of their friends in high school, but you also make a lot of your friends in college. And you know, being on a baseball team in college, you're constantly with these guys, so you start to make a lot of friends.
Yeah, for sure. And one last question here. Is there one thing, if there's one thing that you could take out of your experience here in the United States, what would that be? Some life-changing, possibly.
Life-changing experience in the United States. That's a tough one. That's a good one.
Maybe something you've experienced with your baseball teammates or at school.
Just, you know, I would say appreciate what you have. You know, just a lot of people are negative and always complaining, but you know, sometimes you just need to be happy with what you have. Be happy you have a roof over your head, and just you know,
for sure.
That's about all I can take from.
Well, thank you. It was nice talking with you.
You too.
Thanks for doing this with me.